The WNBA continues to get the kind of attention they shouldn't want. All right. Again, Colin Cowherd is making a point to talk about the WNBA again. He does it now multiple times a week, but only when it comes to one player, or in this case, one player and what it is the rest of the league is doing to her.
So now the idea of trading Caitlin Clark is actually being taken seriously. And just when the Indiana fever finally seemed to calm down, Colin Cowherd jumps in and pours fuel all over the speculation, almost like it's second nature to him. He's never short on bold takes, and this one might be enough to divide the basketball world. Is he over the top? Definitely. But is he completely off base? That's where things start to get interesting.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting. The pettiness has no bounds. For years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated, and then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. When the wave hits, ride it. They wanted to fly private. They wanted to be more popular. They wanted sold out arenas. They got it. I wouldn't have guessed that Caitlin Clark would be this.
So here we are again, watching the WNBA seemingly find new ways to trip itself up, almost like it's a competition. Instead of focusing on strengthening rosters or building a bigger audience, it feels like they've shifted toward creating dramatic storylines. And the latest idea making the rounds? Treating Caitlin Clark like a tradable asset, as if moving her would somehow be a smart strategy. As if that wouldn't spark complete chaos. Not just for the Indiana Fever, but for the entire league. It would look less like a calculated move and more like a full-blown meltdown, mismanagement on display for everyone to see.
This is clearly them cutting her down, because when you look at fan voting, obviously Clark is one, right? Because she has the most fans in the league. So that clearly biased. You go to the media voting.
She was 3. That actually makes sense. I agree. She's not having the best of years this year. She's actually, her shooting is down. Exactly. There's been a number of situations that she's just not played her best ball. But she is still much, eons better than a lot of the other players that they voted in front of her.
Let's be real for a second. If you move Caitlin Clark, you're not just hurting the Indiana Fever, you're damaging the league's most reliable source of attention and revenue. This goes beyond losing a single player. It means losing the central narrative driving the WNBA right now. Clark isn't just playing the game. She's carrying a franchise and, honestly, a huge portion of the league's spotlight on her shoulders. From ticket sales to merchandise to media coverage, her influence is everywhere. Almost everything gaining traction has her impact behind it.
A university professor in finance looked up the value of Caitlin Clark for the WNBA. This is insane. So this year, last season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark was 26.5% of all economic activity as a rookie on the worst team in the league when she entered it. So now she has an 8-year, $128 million deal with Nike. So, she's going to eat. Merchandise in the league went up off a rookie from a Midwest-based school on the worst team in the league, $230.
Now picture taking all that momentum and just shipping it away like a package. That's the kind of decision that would have fans tossing their remotes, canceling their season tickets, and maybe even switching over to watching something like pickleball out of pure frustration. Because there's bad decisions, and then there are all-time terrible ones. And this would fall firmly into the second category, with a little extra chaos on top.
I'm not going to ignore, nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain. And the reason why is because, let me tell you something right now. I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents. See, it's no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark balls. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing.
But somehow, it gets even more bizarre. Not only are trade rumors being treated like the WNBA has an endless supply of stars to risk, but now there's a coaching situation that feels straight out of a drama series. The very coach who once stood by while Caitlin Clark took a hit without much reaction is now suddenly in charge of her. What's next? Promoting the trainer to run conditioning just because they taped her ankles. At this point, it doesn't even feel subtle. It comes across less like a genuine coaching decision and more like a staged situation, one dressed up professionally, but sending a clear message: tone down the star, shift the spotlight, and frame it as team first. But it's hard not to notice what's really happening. Clark hasn't just been rotated out, she's being sidelined in a way that feels intentional. And the front office didn't just hire any coach. They brought in someone whose track record raises eyebrows, especially when it comes to inconsistent decisions and questionable rotations. Let's be honest, the fit just isn't there. Clark and this system clash badly. It's not just a difference in style, it feels like constant friction. The offense doesn't revolve around her strengths. In fact, it often seems to work against them. And you can see the results in real time. She's pulled from games at key moments, while lesser-used players suddenly get extended minutes. It doesn't look strategic. It looks forced, and the tension is impossible to ignore.
Caitlin Clark had another, whatever you want to call it, confrontation in a WNBA game. Like, why is this happening? The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. What other sports analogies are out there that are in any way similar to the impact that one individual has had on a larger sporting universe? Tiger was.
So why would a league that's finally capturing attention suddenly start making moves like this? It comes down to one thing: control. Control the narrative, control the star, and keep fans engaged, but not empowered. Because the last thing the WNBA wants is a player with real influence. That kind of power is unpredictable, hard to manage, and impossible to bench. So when momentum can't be stopped, the next move is to manage it. You bring in someone who can quietly rein it in, present it as development, and hope it goes unquestioned. But instead of growth, what's really building is frustration, along with a fan base that's paying close attention. This coaching decision doesn't feel accidental, it feels intentional. And if it comes off as suspicious, that's because the signs are hard to ignore. This doesn't resemble a normal rebuild or a rookie adjustment period. Caitlin Clark isn't just developing, she's being held back, almost like she stepped out of line rather than onto the court. At its core, this situation feels less about basketball and more about image, strategy, and internal politics. And the idea that this is some cautious, long-term plan doesn't quite hold up. Playing it safe would mean leaning into your strongest weapon, not limiting it, and hoping nobody notices.
She doesn't always get the consistent great star whistle. I think they're still kind of figuring out how to officiate her. Right? Like I've said this for years when I covered Shaq and went to Shaq got fouled more than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, it was insane. People bounced off Shaq. Jokic complains constantly, like, people are bouncing off me. She doesn't quite get as favorable a whistle as you think. So I think
neither does Steph too. That's the funny.
This isn't strategy, it feels like sabotage. Fans, media, and even rivals can see that Caitlin Clark is the driving force behind the WNBA's current popularity, yet instead of building around her, the system seems to be holding her back. Trading or sidelining her wouldn't help the Indiana Fever. It would hurt the entire league's momentum, viewership, and growth. Rather than embracing a generational star, It looks like there's an effort to control and contain her impact, which risks alienating fans and damaging the league's future.